Private spaceflight firm owned by Jeff Bezos and also led by CEO Bob Smith started its journey in 2000. But where is it now? What if we said, that guy is going to take the exact same path as his rival Elon Musk? That's something, isn't it? Amazon stated earlier this year that it has completed the largest commercial purchase of launch vehicles in history. And guess what? The tech titan signed 83 launch contracts with 3 companies: Blue Origin, which is their own, United Launch Alliance, and Arianespace. These companies will execute Amazon's satellite internet service, Project Kuiper, in the future, competing with SpaceX's StarLink. Project Kuiper is currently in the planning stages. According to Amazon, these guys are planning to create a constellation of 3,236 satellites that will orbit at a height of about 370 to 390 miles. Amazon showed a consumer terminal in December 2020 that claims to be smaller and lighter than current antennas. It is unknown when it will be available to consumers, as Amazon has not deployed any satellites or hinted at a waiver date. However, the FCC's decision requires Amazon to complete at least half of the constellation by 2026 in order to use its operating authority. Amazon opted to hire United Launch Alliance for 9 Kuiper rocket launches in April 2021. It did not provide any deadlines for these responsibilities. You could say SpaceX always brings up deadlines, but they forget to keep up with them. Anyways, do you want to know how much it would cost Amazon? So yes, Amazon has not published any pricing information. The company planned to invest $10 billion in the initiative. In July 2021, it also amassed a team of hands working on a similar initiative at Facebook, thereby ending Facebook's interest in the sector. At this point, nothing is known, but Kuiper might be strong. The satellites orbit at almost the same altitude as StarLink, although Kuiper's 12-inch diameter user aerodrome antenna is significantly smaller than StarLink's 23-inch diameter antenna. AWS, Bezos' parent company, Amazon's cloud division, launched a new space sector earlier. It aims to assist them with spaceflight endeavors in order to offer AWS services to space investments and the satellite business. It basically seeks to rethink space network architectures, give liftoff support for space data processing on Earth, and deliver safe, innovative, scalable, and cost-effective cloud solutions to space adventures. I know that's a mouthful, but who knows if these will turn into reality by 2026. You know it's nearly 2023, and it's not that far. It will hardly come as a surprise if Blue Origin attempts to benefit from it in the near future. In short, we could say that a new space race has begun, with several private companies planning to build enormous satellite constellations in the next years. Amazon's answer to Starlink, Project Kuiper, is one of 3 major contenders in low Earth orbit satellite internet constellations. Project Kuiper was initially announced by Amazon in April 2019. The next year, Amazon invested around $10 billion in the introduction of satellite internet service. Project Kuiper, just like Starlink, plans to keep thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit to broadcast and receive data from user terminals and ground stations. The complete deployment might take a decade or more, but the first 2 Project Kuiper spacecraft are scheduled to launch in late 2022. So we have 2 rivals for the same product. Why don't we compare Project Kuiper with Starlink? Well, we gotta see who's better, right? So in the next few minutes, you guys will be seeing through the satellite constellation design, ground stations, user gear, and deployment timeframe. And finally, we shall guess which one's better in terms of its speed and cost. Starlink has nearly 2,300 satellites in orbit as of September 2022. Project Kuiper currently has no satellites in orbit, although the first 2 are expected to launch in late 2022. The FCC has approved around 12,000 satellites for SpaceX's StarLink. Starlink has said openly that they intend to build up to 30,000 satellites in the future decades. Project Kuiper has produced proposals for a constellation of 3,276 satellites. Both firms are planning to expand their networks internationally. Both networks might cover millions of users globally who do not have access to broadband internet even after full satellite deployment, and that's something both of them should look into. Starlink and Project Kuiper both operate low Earth orbit satellites. LEO is commonly described as an orbit less than 1,200 miles above the Earth. One of the benefits of operating satellites in LEO is that the consumer experiences less latency. Starlink has already achieved real-world latency as low as 20 milliseconds, which rivals fixed broadband. Traditional satellite internet providers such as Viasat and HughesNet employ satellites in geosynchronous orbit, which is approximately 22,000 miles above the planet. This vast distance results in considerable latency, which is often greater than 600 milliseconds. This makes their services useless for online gaming and other high-latency internet activity. The StarLink satellites orbit at the height of 340 miles. The Kuiper satellites will orbit at altitudes ranging from 370 to 390 miles. StarLink has begun installing satellites. They have launched around 40 satellites, delivering an average of 60 satellites each mission. The company plans to continue launching at this rate until it reaches its target of 12,000 operational satellites. As we said before, Project Kuiper currently has no satellites in orbit, and that's a huge black mark. While having set all these huge ambitions, Bezos says that the first 2 missions are set to launch in late 2022, but it's already the end of 2022. Project Kuiper obtained launch contracts with 3 major operators in April 2022 for a total of 83 launches over the next decade. Anyways, we might have a bit of a lag there. Now, when taking the case of ground stations, this will be a physical facility on Earth that connects with satellites in space. Ground stations serve as communication hubs, sending data from user terminals to the public internet. StarLink has installed dozens of ground stations worldwide, with dozens more planned and under construction. As the satellite constellation progresses, a rising number of ground stations will be developed to service larger customers. The current goal for Project Kuiper is to interact with 12 existing AWS ground station units. Project Kuiper has not said how many further ground stations it aims to install. As their satellite constellation deployment progresses, Project Kuiper is anticipated to develop ground stations in a similar manner to StarLink. Now coming to the last part, we need service, right? What else would we need a ton of satellites up there for? In November 2019, StarLink launched a public beta. The service is presently offered in a number of countries worldwide. Today, StarLink has around 250,000 members, with an additional 500,000 clients on a waiting list. The development of Project Kuiper is currently in its early phases. At this moment, nothing is known about how Project Kuiper intends to provide service to clients. When compared to standard satellite internet solutions, StarLink's performance is outstanding. As of Q2 2022, median download speeds are approximately 62.53 megabytes per second, with upload rates around 7 megabytes per second. The latency is around 48 milliseconds, and that's something. When compared to standard satellite internet solutions, StarLink's performance is outstanding. As of Q2 2022, median download speeds are approximately 62.53 megabytes per second, with upload rates around 7 megabytes per second. The latency is around 48 milliseconds. Given that providers like HughesNet and Viasat have latency numbers exceeding 600 ms, the latency performance is extremely outstanding. Unlike rivals, StarLink supports latency-sensitive tasks such as online gaming, and you and I know that's where we all get frustrated. Anyways, we all expect Bezos to provide his network speeds in a similar manner. Now, how do you guys expect the cost to be, huh? Is Bezos going to be generous in his offering? So if you take a look at StarLink, the standard StarLink hardware package costs $599 upfront, and the monthly service rate is $110, and there are no commitment or early termination costs. Customers' costs rose in March 2022, with StarLink stating inflation as the primary cause. The hardware originally cost $499, and the monthly subscription fee was $99 per month. The price of Project Kuiper has not yet been revealed. However, Amazon has stated that they want to offer competitive pricing. We believe Project Kuiper to meet or even undercut StarLink in terms of cost, based on Amazon's dedication and focus on offering a lower-cost user terminal. Well, at least that's our hope. What do you think? Anyways, before winding up today's episode, you could say that Blue Origin may not be a potential opponent to SpaceX at the moment, but it is working towards it, although with a noticeable lag. While SpaceX has transported numerous rocket technologies to orbit and has already taken humans to space, Blue Origin is struggling. We may not know what awaits us in the future. Perhaps SpaceX will emerge to colonize Mars, directing the human race to the next phase in evolution. At the same time, Blue Origins is transforming multiple planets into massive industrial complexes. In short, a mega Amazon. All of this may appear to us as the storyline of a sci-fi film, perhaps not in the next few years, but be prepared to experience all of this in the following decades. So do you guys have any idea on how Kuiper will stand in this sector? If then, do comment below. Anyways, we shall meet in another episode. Until then, bye.